Yo, what's going on, my people? It's your big homie Crooks the Great, aka CTG, and I'm back at you guys with another banger of an Undisputed news video. And in today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at what the creator of Undisputed had to say about the judges' scorecards as well as the judging in Undisputed. Now, this video stems from the Ash Habib interview that you've been seeing a lot of the content creators amongst the community have been posting. They've been posting their little snippets of questions that they ask before they release the full, I think it's hour and a half long interview, I think, where they're all going to break down what was talked about. So these questions right here were made by Fight Night's Finest. In case you guys don't know who Fight Night's Finest is, he is one of the content creators in the community. And I mean, he's a really insightful guy. He knows what he's talking about. Obviously he comes from the Fight Night series, but he's taken everything that he's learned from the Fight Night franchise and tried to bring it over to try to make Undisputed that much more better. So if you guys aren't subbed up to his channel, go and sub up, show him some love. He's at 12.3k subs, so let's try to get him up a little bit as we are trying to support everybody in this community. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video here. Let me grab my keyboard so we can start, and let's go ahead and do it.
I really don't like the judges. The way judging goes on the game is way too skewed and towards punches landed and not exactly what it is that you're throwing. So for example, power shots, counter shots, while they do impact the scoring a little bit, doesn't impact it enough. So people who are just mashing jabs on the inside or just throwing things that don't make sense, they can win fights that they shouldn't win because it's not like real pro scoring where it's more about damage done and clean, effective shots. So I think it's way too skewed towards punches landed.
So I think that's interesting because judging.
All right, so basically what Fight Night's Finest is saying is everything that the community has been saying about the judges' scorecards, where a lot of judges tend to side with people that are throwing high volume amount of punches instead of what was actually landed that was significant, right? So he said right there, people spamming jabs, throwing things that are very unrealistic. And you guys see this all the time when you guys play, especially on ranked or in any online fight. People are just looking to jab you to death, right? Especially right now, it's very common amongst Fundora players. They're not really throwing anything significant most of the time. They're just looking to out jab you. They step back, jab you. They step in, jab you to the body. They're looking for you to throw something so they can counter shot jab you. And that's what he's talking about. People are fighting in ways that are very unrealistic to how boxers fight in real life. Because Fundora doesn't fight like that. He's not a guy that's just going in and jabbing and jabbing and jabbing. That's not realistic. The jab is a very fundamental punch that a lot of things can be built off of, but it's not the end all be all in a lot of boxing matches. Now, there has been some that have been determined by that jab. I get it, but that's very few and far between compared to what we're getting in the game. A lot of people are throwing a lot of stuff that's very unrealistic, and they're being able to win on judges' scorecards. So that's what he's trying to bring up. Like, it feels like it's very unrealistic. So let's hear what Ash has to say.
I think it's something we've definitely been adjusting over since early access. And in the beginning, it was a very complex system where, like, even making somebody miss, you would score points, and then there was a weighting in terms of, like, depending on whether you landed a jab, whether you blocked, whether you countered. But then we would then get complaints from people. So, hang on, I landed more shots than this guy. Why have I lost?
Right.
Because it's about what he's landed.
True, but then it's just like an overall view of the fight. Mm-hmm. But we just felt like no matter which solution we chose, there were always people who thought they should have won that fight. Mm-hmm. And they have valid reasons, right? So we decided to go down the route of, I guess, almost favoring aggression, just because visually, it's like if someone is landing more shots, it was an easier decision to make. But again, we're not always going to get the right decision just by using that choice.
Right.
You don't play the game, Steve.
Well, I do, but I...
Okay, so basically what he said there is that's an issue that they've been having in the game. Obviously they've been not that they've been having, but they've been trying to tweak it since early access, basically on the PC version. They've been trying to go through and make some changes to the judges' scorecards in terms of the criteria and trying to balance it out. But like he just said right there, he's basically admitting that, hey, you know what, like, we have to go in one direction or the other. So we've kind of lended ourselves more towards leaning towards aggression. And that's why we're getting the scorecards that we're getting. People that are throwing these ridiculous amounts of volume shots, they're going to at least get one judge's scorecard a majority of the time because of their output. Now, he's not saying that, you can't win if you're a calculated fighter, but the judges' scorecards are going to lean always more towards aggression, which, whether you like it or you don't, is a good thing to know, because now when you go into an undisputed fight, you kind of know what the judges are going to be looking for if it goes to the judges' scorecards, which a lot of the time it is. A lot of fights are, I would say more times than not, are going to the judges' scorecards. So you can build a fight accordingly, right? So hey, if my opponent is throwing a high volume amount of punches, I need to be landing more significant strikes than he is. So basically what that means is, and you guys have heard me talk about this in my streams, when I'm going up against somebody that is throwing a lot of punches, I want to make sure that I'm landing the more significant punches. So more counter punches or more power punches. If you're going against somebody that's playing a very jab heavy style and they're just jabbing you to death, i.e. Fedora players like we talked about earlier, you want to make sure that you're either landing more counter shots than them in a round, or you're landing more power punches, because those are the more significant punches. And that's how you're going to beat an opponent on the judges' scorecards. So he's basically confirming what we all kind of already thought, is they're leaning more towards aggression in terms of the judges' scorecards. So that's nice to know. And now we can adapt our game accordingly. You can adapt your game accordingly based off of what the creator of the game is saying the judges are looking for in terms of the judges' scorecards. Now, the second thing that I wanted to touch on here in this video actually comes on a little bit later, because this part we've already heard when I broke down King Juice's version. It's Steve Kim talking about, if the judges' scorecards are controversial, it's very sim to boxing, because a lot of boxing judges' scorecards are that way too. But as said something later on in this portion of the interview that actually made me it made me think about it, about how in-depth the judging is in this game. And it stems off of a question that Fight Night's Finest actually asked as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and let the clip play, and then we'll break it down.
The problem.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? Why is there 30 different judges in the game that score the fight instead of a criteria that everybody can work towards and know what's happening, since we're all trying to be competitive?
So that decision was made so that the initial thought process was that so people couldn't just find a meta in terms of, oh, this is the judge that's going to favor this style of fighting. So we tried to give them personalities, again, to try and replicate the sport. But then again, like using the same analogy in terms of loose movement for everybody, like just because something happens really in the sport doesn't mean it's going to be a good gameplay experience. And that's something that we've learned, right? Where I think there's some instances where we might have gone too far down that simulation route, where just because it happens in the sport doesn't mean it's what we recreate in the game.
Ash, you ever thought of having a judge that's so bad that he may be on the fix? So like,
all right, so basically what he said right there is really, really interesting, because I didn't look at it that way, and I feel like a lot of the community doesn't look at it that way. When we see the judges' scorecards and we see the names of the judges, we don't really think about like, hey, that judge might lend himself to being towards a certain direction or a certain way of boxing. And shout out to I believe it was Amani, actually. Amani pointed this out to me after the Deuce Juice fight. Now, if you guys haven't watched my fight against Deuce Juice, I would highly suggest you guys go and rewatch it. But at the end of the fight, I thought I had won fairly easy, but there was one judge that gave him the fight. I think it was 77-74. I think was the judges' scorecards my way, and then one judge had it 77-74 for him. And I was like, damn, like I want to know what that judge was smoking. But it was because of the volume that he threw was why that judge sided with him. And it makes sense off of what Ash just said right now. You know, different judges, the different names that you're going to see at the end are going to look at the fight differently because of the way that they gave them their personalities. So one judge will look for more efficiency, who landed the cleaner shots, who did the more damaging shots, who landed the more efficient shots. And one judge might look at it as this fighter was walking his opponent down and throwing a high volume amount of strikes. He outlanded his opponent. So I thought that was really interesting that they gave the judges some unique qualities to their judging. I thought that was different, and I thought that's kind of crazy to think about, but it makes sense. Now, what I would like to see is, I don't know if they do it already, because I haven't watched an intro in quite a long time in an online fight, but if they don't do it, they need to add the judges' names to the beginning intro, so that way you know who's judging that fight. So let's say Fight Night's Finest, we'll use an example, right? I don't know, these obviously aren't going to be real judges in the game, but let's say the judges are Fight Night's Finest and JMMA. Well, we know because of past experiences that Fight Night's Finest likes efficient shots, who lands the cleaner shots, who lands the more effective damaging shots, where JMMA likes aggression, he likes volume. So by putting that little snippet piece in the intro, it not only makes people want to watch the intros, the fighter intros, but it also lets people know, hey, you know what? I got two judges on this that are going to be judging this fight that like aggression. So I need to cater my game plan accordingly to that style of fighting if I want to win on the judges' scorecards. Or if I'm down in the middle of a fight and I know, hey, I have two people that are like Fight Night's Finest that are looking at it from an effective standpoint, how many effective shots were landed, who was more efficient, then I want to cater my game plan to that accordingly, even in my mid-fight adjustments. You feel what I'm saying? So that would be a really unique way to approach fights in Undisputed. So I like that though. I really like that. That's like an in-depth uniqueness to the game that I really never looked at like that, but I appreciate it. I would just like it to be a little more unique with adding the judges' names in the intros of the fight, so that way you know, hey, you know what? I got two judges on the scorecard that like aggressiveness, so I'm gonna be more aggressive in this fight. Or I got two judges on the scorecards that like, the more efficient fighter, so I'm gonna be more efficient. I'm gonna land the better, cleaner, more damaging shots in this fight instead of necessarily going out and throwing a crap ton of volume. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like that's a unique way to approach the game that I feel like is kind of a good thing in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about Ash's response to the judges' scorecards, as well as the uniqueness that the judges have on them individually? Do you guys like it? Do you guys not like it? And if you don't like it, how would you change it? And even if you do like it, how would you change it in a way to make it better going forward? Please let me know in the comment section. As per the usual, I'm going to be trying to respond to every single comment that is left on this video. But that's it from me, my people. If you guys did enjoy this video and you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to slap that subscribe button as well as slap that like button, so that way this video does get tossed into the YouTube algorithm and more people get to enjoy the great content that I have for you guys here on the channel. But until next time, my people, take it easy, be safe, enjoy the rest of your guys' day, afternoon, evening, depending on where you guys are watching this from, and I will see you guys in the next video.